Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chamber here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Now today, we're going to be doing a Fortnite boost your FPS. We're going to call these, I'm going to do these for a bunch of new games. I'm going to call these game boosters. Boost your FPS. These are really going to boost your FPS in almost any game. This one's going to be specified till Fortnite. I'm going to do a couple more towards like Valorant, maybe COD, CSGO, all those other cool games. But just know this one's going to be specified by Fortnite. So I've created a little pack for you guys. This is going to be linked to my Google Drive. Just download it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to take this and you're just going to want to extract files on 7-zip. Use 7-zip. Don't use WinRAR or anything. So it's going to be called this. And then you're just going to want to take this file and Control X. And then you're going to want to paste it into your C drive right here. Now, I already have mine here, and I think we should just go through it. We're going to start off with cleanup. Now, cleanup is just basically, we're going to do a couple of things just to fix your PC. Make it so that you don't have as much like little things. So for example, like let's just take this drive. As you can see, it's like a 60 gig drive in total. You never want this to be in the red. I can try and make it bigger. View details. Tiles. That's what it is. You want to make sure none of these drives are red that you have. So let's just open this, go into this. We're going to start out with a system restore point. And I already have made one, so it's not going to let me. You're just going to turn that on, then hit create, type in like backup or whatever. Give it about 20 gigs. Now we're going to go through here and we're just going to hit control. These are your temp files. So you have two. You have your %temp. So in your app data, control A, delete. And now you may have some in this folder, just see Windows temp. I do not. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this thing called setup disk cleanup. This is like an epic disk cleanup. This is kind of like what Malwarebytes and CCleaner do, except it's built into Windows, so it's safe. And I have all these, and you're going to make sure that you check every single one of them, which I have, and then you're going to double click this one, the number 4, and it's going to clean up every single drive that you do have. Now this may take a little while depending on how many drives, depending on if you have a lot of temp files and stuff. This shouldn't take that long for me, but I'm going to pause until it comes right back. Mine finished, so now we're going to go straight into your display settings. So you're going to click this. Now, really what I'm talking about here is your 100%. So, for example, if you're on like 1440p monitor, this would be like 150%. Now, I know it might be a lot easier to see, but you're going to have a lot more issues in games. You might not get as high performance. Your mouse actually will be accelerated, so the faster you move it, the faster the cursor section can go. Well, it's not going to feel as smooth. You're going to have a lot more issues. Obviously, that can be an issue, especially when you're playing a game. You want to have the same mouse input if you're moving it 1 inch or if you're moving it your whole mouse pad. Next, go to startup applications. If you have a lot of stuff in here, honestly, turn off stuff you don't use. Like, let's say maybe you have like Discord, Steam, Epic Games, Origin, GOG, I don't know, any other game launchers or stuff. Just turn that stuff off. The only one that may make sense is Discord, just because you want to check your messages as soon as you log on. Don't do anything. Now we're going to try this thing called Autoruns. Now, there's a couple of other things in here. This is a very powerful tool. So, for example, you may have like some Google Chromes in here. Just uncheck them in this box. Only uncheck the Google Chrome. Here, you're going to want to uncheck if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, MVCPL desktop context. Scheduled task. If there's some stuff that you do not like, you can obviously turn that off. I like everything in here. And then for services, please just don't touch this. Maybe you can uncheck Origin Web Helper service. You can uncheck Steam. You can uncheck the Google updates. So the Google Chrome Elevation, G Update, and G Update M. Same thing for Firefox, like a Mozilla update. You don't need to touch anything else in this tool, so that's good. Now, we're going to go straight to Mouse Excel. So pointers, this doesn't matter. This is what matters. So this will be like this by default. And the mouse already feels so much different. I'm just going to want to uncheck that, hit apply. Now, you don't want to ever have it like this. As you can see, this is going to be really slow. but then I can go like this, and it's going to be super duper fast. We want this in the middle. So we're going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 11 is the middle point. And you're all done with cleanup. Now we can go to like general performance. This is stuff that's going to help your PC in any ways. I have made videos on a couple of these, like for example, timer resolution. But we're just going to get in here. Disable your game bar. I actually don't have that enabled. You're just going to want to uncheck. It's going to be what allows you to have your like clips through Xbox. We don't want that. For game mode, that also doesn't show up. Make sure that's on. It's going to be in a game mode tab. You're going to make sure that's on. Game mode is something that definitely messes up your you're going to have it on. If you have it off on older Windows versions, it's going to be fine. But you want to have it on newer Windows versions. It definitely does help, especially if you're like streaming maybe. Enable HAGs. That's called hardware accelerated graphics settings. That's in graphics settings. Hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Have this on. If you don't have this option, you probably need to update your drivers. We're going to go over that very soon, but just keep this on. You are going to need to restart that though for it to come into effect. For visual effects. So you're going to go into this. It's going to be like this. You can let Windows choose all of these if you want, but I don't recommend it. Just click adjust for best performance. And then you could hit apply, but stuff's not going to look good. So like you see, text does not look as good. So just click smooth edges of screen font. Show thumbnails instead of icons. That's not going to make your like FPS any worse, especially if you have such a powerful machine or even a modern machine. It's just not having random animations show up. Next, we're going to rebuild performance counters. We want to do this before we do like intelligent standby list cleaner. I've had people have issues if they don't. So you see, sometimes you'll get like an error the first time. So that's why we always want to have it twice. Next, we're going to go to timer resolution. I made a whole video on timer resolution. So it should start up in your taskbar. So just click stop. So just open it. Now you want to click stop. Now you're going to want to make sure this is 1024. And then you're going to open up your task manager. Now just hit memory. And you want to see total memory. So that will be right here. You're just going to want to take half of that and multiply that by 1024. So if you have 8 gigs of RAM for some reason, you want to have 4096, 2048 if you have 2 gigs. But most people will have 16 gigs. So just do 8192. And then you're going to hit start. Make sure wanted timer resolution is on 0.5 and it's checked. If current timer resolution is like a weird number like 0.497, 0.498, something like that, that's fine. We're going to fix that. So you're going to see this latency.cmd. We can edit that and I'll tell you what it is. This disables Hibernate. Hibernate is a terrible power feature. It's like, it just messes stuff up. Just restart, turn off your PC if you're not using it. Disable high precision event timer. So this is the actual like use platform clock. This is what makes your PC not as smooth, especially with the mouse. Dynamic tick. If you're on a desktop, this will not matter. But if you're on a laptop, it's going to disable some power savings, give you a little more performance. And then synthetic timers. This will make it so that it uses the high precision event timer on your motherboard and not that Microsoft decides, because we don't want to do what Microsoft decides. It's not that good. Just right click, run as administrator. If you have not disabled user access control, you're going to get a little prompt. I don't have that, so I'm just going to click that. Next to these power plans. So these are in here. I have actually 2 that are showing up, so we'll just click that. And there should be, yeah, there's 2. Sorry, make sure you run as administrator. So there's going to be 2 that I'm going to choose. Do not run this disable idle. Let's say you're having weird issues like you like check and like your CPU maybe not be boosting as high. Disable idle, that will make your CPU go to 100%, but that'll just make sure that it's running at its maximum speed. So we're just going to keep it on my power plan, my main power plan. Don't use disable idle. And next, we're going to go to Registry Tweaks. So these are like fast startup, power throttling, Spectre and Meltdown. I know some people like Spectre and Meltdown leaves you vulnerable. There's no reason people are going to be tracking you because you don't have a Spectre and Meltdown patch. They're looking over like big workstations, not this. Processor scheduling. This is what is in Windows Key R control, system and security, system. Oh, no, wait. I don't know why it's trying to bring me through there, but it's through like the advanced system settings, and then you choose background processes, and then allocation, I believe. I don't remember. This is just what you actually want it to be at. Now we're throttling and system responsive. This will kind of help your internet, not much. These are just some things to kind of like disable Xbox's game bar and stuff. You don't want that. Full screen exclusive or exclusive full screen. So this is what's going to make it so that this little watermark right here of your volume is not going to show up. And then you're going to have, these are a couple more that you need to fix. Hibernate is disabled again, just because nobody likes hibernation. Then where you can just click this, click yes, hit OK. And that's going to be enabled next time you restart your PC. Now we're going to go into MSI mode. I've fully explained MSI mode in another video. You can check that out if you really just want to. The only thing I'm going to recommend is so like your GPU will most likely be like this when you first see this. So fine, if you have an AMD or an NVIDIA GPU, you can click that. You can click MSI mode check and then hit apply. Don't touch any others unless you really know what you're doing. You could break your system or cause like blue screens, not be able to get back into it. Not going to recommend it. Okay, display driver uninstaller. This is for your GPU. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this. This is going to actually let us remove our driver fully. Now I know that on NVIDIA and AMD they'll be like, do you want to clean install this driver? And people are like, well, yes, I want to. I'm not going to say that you should do that, just because there's still going to be stuff left behind doing that. But obviously, if you just don't want to do it, it's fine. I'm going to download NVIDIA drivers that I'm going to recommend. So first of all, I don't care what you use. If you use the DCH or the standard, just understand that the DCH does use the Microsoft Store. They're the exact same NVIDIA control panel, but you have to have the Microsoft Store. You have to be using it. I really am going to recommend the standard. Make sure on Windows 10 64-bit. And I'm going to say that the best driver right now, I've heard that 460.89 is actually really good. So you can just download this, click download, download again, and you're going to wait for it to install. While we're waiting for this, you can go to the AMD driver. The AMD driver, literally, it's so easy. You just hit graphics. Like, let's say you have a 6900 XT, submit, or you can hit whatever driver obviously you have. Just hit Windows 10 64-bit and click the newest driver. You don't have to worry about, is this driver good? Is this driver bad? Every driver, especially now, should be good. I know that there was times where they were really bad, but that was a while ago. I am going to cancel this download just because I know what driver I'm going to do. Click set safe mode, boot. I'm going to click, you should only have one boot typically. You're going to want to hit 2009, hit apply, hit OK. Exit without restart. Go to wherever your download DDU. Just throw it to your desktop and extract it just so you can easily get into it. Now what we're going to do is we're literally just going to make sure that we are in safe mode. Cancel. I don't know why it did that. Just go to safe mode. Boot. Make sure yes. Okay. Now we're going to restart and you should boot into safe mode. I'm going to show you what you need to do now just once you're in safe mode. Now that you should have restarted in a safe mode, I know it'll feel weird if you have a high refresh rate monitor. It'll be about 60 hertz. It'll be at 60 hertz. I know in like Intel systems I found that your resolution would be a lot lower. It's fine. So first thing I'm going to recommend, hit Windows key and R, MS config. Boot. And then go to your boot and uncheck safe mode. Hit apply. But do not click restart. Click exit without restart. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the DDU. We're going to open display driver uninstaller. Now you're going to just hit OK. All these are fine right here. So you're going to want to hit GPU drivers. That's what we have. Now if you have AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA, just click whatever one you have. If you have like an Intel integrated PC, like you maybe have Intel drivers because you have like an Intel CPU and you may have used your integrated GPU on there. You may want to run that and then click clean and do not restart. But since we have NVIDIA, same thing for AMD, you're just going to click clean and restart. Now, you're going to do a couple of things in here, and it's just going to fully uninstall your drivers. So when you reboot back into Windows in normal mode, you aren't going to actually have any drivers. You're going to have to reinstall them. Now, make sure that you already had them installed. Just do it very quickly, because typically on a standard Windows install, Windows will like download like some really old driver. It's not going to be helpful. It's just going to make your performance worse. So make sure that you basically, as soon as you open up your PC, just download the driver. Now that you've restarted, just download your driver. I'm actually going to find mine. I already have my driver saved. Drivers NVIDIA standard. Yes, I want this one. So I don't know why I just did that. It's fine. So you're just going to want to right click, run as administrator, hit OK. That's fine. This may take a bit. You're just going to want to do this quickest install that you can. Let NVIDIA do what it can. There's a couple of settings in here that like I don't use because I don't like them. So, for example, checking system compatibility. I'm going to click just NVIDIA graphics driver. I don't like having GeForce Experience. I don't like having it. I'm also going to just click custom. So if you do use PhysX, you really don't need this. So we're just going to uncheck that. Only have the driver. Unless you do use NVIDIA GeForce Experience, then you can click that. But also click perform a clean installation and click next. Now your driver is going to install. Your screen may flicker, especially you'll notice if you've installed another driver before. We're going to do this. I'm going to wait for this to install, and I'll be right back. So my screen flickered. The installer has finished. We can actually go back now into this folder. And for NVIDIA, we're just going to click this, NVIDIA Profile Inspector.exe. Now, I have this little NIP file. This is for NVIDIA Profile Inspector. So we're just going to click Import. Then we're going to click Import Profile. And now we're slowly going to click Profiles Successfully Imported. There's one setting that I want you to actually check in here. CUDA Force P2 State. Make sure that's off. This is going to make it so that your memory does not downclock by about 500 megahertz whenever something like OBS is open and you're rendering. We don't want that, especially while we're gaming. And I've made a nice little thing just to show you what your graphics should look like. Now, if you have the DCH driver, you're going to have to open up the DCH. But if you're on the standard NVIDIA driver, you're going to click that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit desktop, enable developer settings. I'm going to uncheck these two also. I don't like them. But these don't matter. You may want to have full color range. It doesn't matter for me. Adjust desktop size and position. Click no scaling. Click display. If you, maybe let's say you only have a graphics card that does GPU, it's perfectly fine, except when you use something like a stretch resolution or even with your full native resolution, you're not going to have the best input. That's something that you will have to live with. So understand that. All of these other ones are fine. Now, I am in 240 Hz. I recommend just hitting use NVIDIA color profile settings. The screen will flash, and then your colors may look a little bit better. So, forgot, you can also set your digital vibrance. I like mine at 100. Now, for the DCH driver, this will be underneath video. No, this will be underneath the display in between video. We're just going to hit allow access to GPU performance counters to all users. This is going to make it a whole lot smoother. I don't know why, but it just makes the PC feel smoother. And it definitely does increase your FPS by a good little bit. Configure surround PhysX. Set this to your graphics card. Never set this to your CPU. And now we're going to go to manage 3D settings. Now, a lot of people will be like, just disable these two. No, we're going to go through them all. Most of these should be actually set for you, but I'll go through, and you can also look at this picture if you ever just want to do this by yourself. Set that to 1 VSync. Make sure that's off, especially for a game like Fortnite where you're getting high FPS already. You don't want VSync to mess around and be capped to your monitor's refresh rate. Texture filtering, make sure that's at high performance. Shader cache, you do want that on for Fortnite. For your preferred refresh rate, highest available. If you have a G-Sync monitor, turn it off. Please just turn off G-Sync and use highest available so you can enjoy, let's say, like 360 plus FPS if you have a 240 Hz monitor especially. Management mode, just click prefer maximum performance. OpenGL rendering, you're going to want to click prefer maximum performance, just so you can get that little extra bit out of it. Max frame rate, never have this on. We don't want input lag putting in. Now low latency mode, a lot of people say that because Fortnite has a built-in latency, you want this to be off. I like to have it on still, just in case you do play another game. You can get a little bit lower FPS also. There's a couple of these that I think stay on. I know gamma correction would stay on. Just turn that off. And you're all done for NVIDIA settings. So with AMD, I did the same thing. I took a picture and I just kind of cropped it together. The one that really a lot of people don't understand is Radeon Anti-Lag. It's made for DirectX 11 to DirectX 9, but it only helps in GPU-bound titles. Now, if you have a lower-end graphics card, maybe like I think an RX 560, 5500 XT, and you know that you're hitting 100% GPU usage, go ahead, turn that on. But if not, you have like a 5600 XT, a 580, 580 plus, something like that. Just keep this on. Keep this off, sorry. Make sure that Radeon Anti-Lag is off, and then you can go through all your settings through that shortcut. Next, we're going to go to our BIOS. Our BIOS is such a big deal. So this is what's going to make sure that our graphics card is in the right slot. You always want your graphics card to be in the very top slot of your motherboard, the biggest wide slot, the PCI Express slot. You also want to make sure it's in 16 times. This is going to make sure that all of its performance can actually be utilized. We're going to do that. You can also have this little guide just to show you where the bus interface is. That's what it's going to tell you. Dual channel RAM. So we're going to use CPU Z. This will also let you check out certain things about your CPU. So even a little built-in benchmark to test to show you like how your CPU compares to other ones. We're going to hit memory. Now, channel number, this is dual. If it says single, I'm sorry, you may want to get 2 sticks of RAM if you do not have them. For example, you can go to Task Manager, hit Performance. So, for example, slots use 2 out of 4. You always want to use half of your slots. Have them in alternating slots like 2 and 4. Never, and then you can actually check. So slot 1, you can see there's nothing. And slot 3, there's nothing. Slot 2, there's this. You can tell what kind of RAM I have. And then slot 4, you can also tell. That's how you can check. And then we also have C states. So these like kind of make your CPU go to sleep basically. They slow down the core so they don't go as fast, especially when you're not using anything. But this can cause latency, especially with your mouse, and your FPS can drop a little bit. Now, there's next is XMP. Now, XMP profile is setting your RAM to the advertised speed on your RAM. Like let's say you have 3600, 3200 megahertz RAM. It will not be like that by default. Just like let's say you plugged in the RAM, you want to set it up. You're going to get about 2133, 2400 depending on the motherboard. So we're just going to want to hit this BIOS restart button. You'll get this. Windows will shut down in less than a minute. That's okay. You can just hit the restart button and you should go into your BIOS. You can also hit your delete key, your F2 key, something like that, and you should get into your BIOS. There's a way to get it through Windows, another way during Shift when hitting restart. You should go into your BIOS this way, so I should boot into it. Yes, I did. And so, as you can see, the load XMP setting, you may have it on auto, so you're just going to hit that. And then I am going to set this to 3200 because that's what my actual RAM speed is, 0.45. And then advanced. So for an AMD system, it'll be in here, AMD CBS. Now this global C state setting might be in here, but it's in CPU comments for me. And then make sure global C state is disabled, either be enabled or auto. Just have it disabled. And that's all. I'm just going to load my profile now. Okay. And then you just want to hit save changes and exit or F10. Then you should boot back into Windows to get a smoother system. Alright, so you can just check if your RAM is running at the same speed, at your correct speed by going to memory. Mine runs at 3200, that's an overclock. But if it was actual XMP, it'd be 3000. Depends depending on each of your systems. We're going to actually go into our Epic Games launcher now. Now, there's a couple things I'd really recommend. So, when I'm going to load up, I'm just going to load it up. We're going to go to library where your actual Epic is installed. Just hit verify. This will make sure that all of your files are there correctly. And also hit options. Now, you really only need the Battle Royale. If you play Save the World, then go ahead. Do not recommend high resolution textures. You're not going to be using them, especially if you're trying to get the highest FPS, because those are going to be lowering your FPS doing those. So that's all literally for the actual launcher. Now we can go to where your games are installed. So for me, that's in my 1 terabyte. I'm just going to go to my games, Epic, Fortnite game binaries 160. Okay. And now you're going to see all these. This obviously depends on yours. Typically it'd be like program files. But we're going to see all of these different files. You're only going to want to care about the shipping.exe. This is the one that actually has your game. This is the one that actually loads your game. So you're just going to hit your compatibility tab. Make sure that disable full screen optimizations is checked. Run this program as an administrator is also checked. And then change high DPI settings. Make sure that override high DPI scaling performed by application is enabled. Hit apply, then hit OK. Now we can actually load the game correctly into full screen exclusive mode. Now I have shared my config, so you're just going to want to go Windows key R app data local, and then you're just going to want to copy it and then paste it, and it'll be like this destination already has a file. Just replace it, and now let's load into the game. So I loaded up the game now. It's may ask you if you want to like change some settings. Just click no. We want to make sure that we correctly dialed in, even though they should be dialed in correctly based off this. So we're just going to want to hit your settings. And as you can see, if I do my volume key, we're still here. So that means we're not in exclusive full screen. So I'm just going to want to go into windowed mode and then full screen and then 1920 by 1080. My screen flickered and I'm in full screen. Exclusive full screen right now. So as you can see, I actually have audio. Now I don't. So an exclusive full screen. You may actually need to do this every single time that you load up the game. I know I have to. It's kind of annoying, but it gives you the best FPS. Now so we're just going to go through these. View distance. If you want this at Epic just so you can see better, you may want to. But we're here for the max FPS. Textures, always just have these at low. It's the best thing you can do. I believe that if you even try and have the high resolution, it will actually let you set it to Epic. VSync off. We don't want to be capped at our monitor's refresh rate like this. It's not even going to let me do it because I disabled it though in my NVIDIA control panel. Share your FPS just so you can actually see it. And then make sure that you are in performance mode. Maybe. If you're so like, I need to get the max FPS, go ahead and do this. But if you are in want to have DirectX 11, this is so you can see slightly better. You do have to restart for it. That will make your game look not as good, but it'll make it look better, but you won't get as high of FPS. I found ground loot and stuff actually shows up easily, but we're going to do everything here in the performance mode. Next, we're just going to quickly go through a couple of these. Never have your matchmaking region at auto. Just set it to what you actually are on, whether that be any of the NA servers, the Europe servers, whatever you're on. These are all personal preference. Turn off NVIDIA highlights unless you use Shadow Play or the Instant Replay by GeForce Experience. Turn off peripheral lighting. We don't want like a Logitech software, Corsair, Razer to be like attaching to our game. That can always cause issues. Then turn off replays unless you really need them just to like review your game. These all don't matter. I do recommend having though your net debug stats on, especially if you do want to just see what your ping is in game. Low sound quality, that's not going to change anything. Just keep that on high, and all these other settings are fine. So one thing I do want to say really quickly, I've had some random issues. Like sometimes I'll have the game and it won't go into exclusive full screen no matter how hard I try. I have no idea why it does that. Sometimes it's just the update. Like I've had certain updates and they won't let me do exclusive full screen. They'll release a patch and it works perfectly fine. Something that you may want to think about. But that's it. Just remember this download link is in my Google Drive. I'll link it down below. It'll be in the game booster section. Just download it, unzip it, and follow this guide. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hit that like button down below. Subscribe. Make sure that this did help you. If it did, show it to someone who needs to get good FPS for once. Not be on like some 60 FPS. Get them to, I don't know, 120. I'm kidding. I don't know. Depends on how bad their system is. Especially if they're just running like everything stock. But, see you later, guys.